What's going on with my hair? Oh, hello everybody. That time of the week again, Wednesday, 9 o'clock. I think what I'm going to start doing is opening the chat an hour or so before, and people who want to can join in those discussions there. Some people asking about the formation of the team and things like that, and is Iorfa injured? We'll come to those in just a second. Somebody mentioning the draw for the League Cup as well, which we will come to in just a second. We're going to win the next 3 games, says Fred. Let me just share this stream live on Twitter. If you could all do the same as well, that'd be much appreciated. We get loads of people watching before we can start properly. Is there anybody watching who went to the game yesterday? I enjoyed it quite a lot. Usually those sort of League Cup games are horrible games. But the second half in particular, I thought Wolves were amazing. Yeah, Cardiff did score their first goal yesterday. I think my prediction was that they were not going to score a Premier League goal all season. Good evening, John. Adama Traore yesterday, Brian, was unbelievable. I think there was a lot of... I've been quite critical of him in the first couple of games, but... cheers, Stu. I've been critical of him because there's been less of a... there hasn't been an end product from him so far, but yesterday was the best I've seen him play. Every time he picked up the ball, it was making something happen. And the best, what worked well yesterday was Bonatini and his movement for his goal, and then after his goal, getting into those dangerous areas around the edge of the box and on the penalty spot and stuff. And if Jimenez can do that as well, that'll definitely make things happen in the Premier League, particularly against teams like West Ham, who else coming up, Burnley, Man United. Oh. Let's have a look. When you've got Bobby Reed and Hoylett as your main strikers, you're going to have a tough time. Absolutely correct, Bottle Bleach. But we're not here to talk about Cardiff, are we? Let's talk about the Wolves and how good we've been over the first 3 league games. And then yesterday, the second half, considering that was our second string, and that's what I had to keep reminding myself, that these are not the players who play week in, week out, and, but they're so drilled in the way that Wolves should be playing. I thought it was quite a testament to Nuno, really, and his methods, his coaching methods. Imagine Traore running at Lindelof and Smelling. Yeah. West Ham are the best possible team to play right now. Well, I think it's going to be an interesting one now, because West Ham have had a really poor start to the season, and they've not shown any sort of they started the game against Arsenal quite well, but Arsenal's defence was so weak that I think it made West Ham look a little bit better than they were. The fact that it's at West Ham as well is going to be a big factor for us. I think we need to take advantage of that and keep possession and hustle them a little bit and make sure that they can't settle on the ball in the first 20 minutes or so and make it difficult for them. Yeah. Where did Joe Mason go? I think Joe Mason went to America, possibly the same place as Jack Price. Colorado Rapids, was it? Thoughts on City getting Neves? Well, there were reports as well that Juventus apparently are keeping tabs on. Was it Juventus? I think it was keeping tabs on Neves and Jota, trying to sign them. But I can't see that. I can't see them leaving. I think, and Nuno as well. Watching Man United on whatever day it was, Monday against Spurs, I did think, if Mourinho was to go, would they come and try and get Nuno? But then I can't see him being turned by a team like Man United at the moment. I think he's at Wolves for the long haul, and he's definitely going to be pinched one day. But I think it would take a Real Madrid or a PSG. Oh, excuse me. I don't know what's going on with my guts today. Crouch is a world-class player. I'm not sure I agree with that. If Nuno leaves Zidane in, reckon we'll beat Man U. Well, if Mourinho's still there, we've definitely got a chance. Will we hammer the Hammers on Saturday? Momentum is with us. The win last night, I think, has done us a world of good. Even though, the 9 changes yesterday, I think just the feeling around the squad, the fact that Costa scored, the fact that Traore played so well, Cody played well as well, Doherty, bit of confidence again. Another good game under his belt, and then also the sort of fringe players. Vinagre played really well. Gibbs White should have scored a couple of goals yesterday. Bonatini, of course, scoring for the first time in 23 hours and 59 minutes worth of football. That was really, really positive. There's a lot of things to be positive about from yesterday. But I think most importantly that we're in the next round of the Cup. We still haven't conceded a goal in the League Cup, which is amazing. 5 games Nuno's had in the League Cup and not conceded there. Let's have a look through some of these comments that I can see. You done something to your head? Well, do you know what? I've just come out of the shower because I've just been for a run. So it's all over the place. Usually it takes me hours to get it to look how it usually does. Yeah, West Ham did win yesterday, but they only beat Wimbledon, another in League One. But you'd have to imagine that we'd have got more confidence from beating Sheffield Wednesday away than that. What's your starting team prediction for West Ham? I think it's going to be exactly the same as it has been for all 3 games. I think we'll see Costa will start, Jota will start, Jimenez will start, Moutinho and Neves, Johnny, Doherty, Cody, Bolly, Bennett, Patricio. I don't think there's no question about the team now. They're pretty settled in the way that they're playing. I still don't know what Gibbs White's best position is. Me neither. I think that he looked dangerous, but he lacked that sort of finishing touch yesterday up front. But he did. He made things happen. I was impressed as well. I was impressed when he played in the middle of midfield as well. I think it was against Stoke in pre-season. I think he started the game then. But again, didn't. Regarding your shirt, does anyone remember store distribution? Let me show you. Store distribution. I wore this last night to the match. Unfortunately, then my version of this shirt is peeling away a little bit. Unfortunately, but yeah. Thank you very much for liking the video. If everybody else could drop a like as well, that'd be great. I think it gets the higher up the charts or something. Opinion on Sace. Sace did well yesterday. considering he hasn't played any competitive football since the World Cup, I suppose. So what's that? 6 weeks, 7 weeks without any real competitive action. So it was difficult for him to get into the game yesterday. But he playing alongside an inexperienced player. And from what Elliot Watt said in his interview after the game, he said that he was he was happy. He was happy and played alongside experienced players like Sace was really, really positive for him. So I wouldn't start Sace though at the moment. I think he's still a little bit away in terms of his fitness at the moment. The last time I liked the stream, last time I liked the stream ended. Well, we'll be ending at around about 10 o'clock. We've done 7 of these. Oh, this is the 7th one of these now. So you know how it works, Mr. Bleach. Has Bart gone yet? Well, good point, Oliver. I'll come to that in a minute. Bart hasn't gone officially yet, but I think it's widely accepted that he has. Similar for Bright, both of whom were just completely left out of the squad yesterday, and you would have expected Danny Bart to have played some sort of part in the game yesterday, whether it be from the bench or starting instead of Cody, like he did at times last season in those games. But he didn't. Didn't even travel. Nuno was asked, and he said, "Well, he's a player for us. He's an option, but we decided to go for somebody else." I thought it was the wrong decision. I think yesterday, if Dendoncker had got injured, and then Bennett to come on and play for such a long time, I think was not the best option for us. I would have rather seen Danny Bart come on and play some part. But for his own career, and I've always maintained this point through all of pre-season and the transfer window and everything, that he needs to move on now for his own development. And if it's to a team like I don't know who's been linked with him. I know the Albion apparently were interested a month or so ago, but I don't think he's going to go there. But a Bristol or a Leeds or somebody like that. So yeah, we'll see. And Bright, I think, needs to go away from Wolverhampton and needs to improve himself as a footballer elsewhere. We'll have to wait and see. Somebody just made a point there. It's gone at the moment from the screen about how Bright, and I'm guilty of this as well. Bright and Ibukari last season was slagged off, was the term that was used there in the chat, for his lack of end product. Gibbs White has the similar sort of problem now, but seems to not get the same stick. It is an interesting point. I'd love to know your thoughts about this in the chat there. But I personally think Gibbs White shows that he's more of a team player than Enabakari. I think Enabakari is quite selfish and quite slow in his thought process as well. When he receives the ball, he's not thinking ahead of where the rest of the team is. He gets his head down and dribbles for a bit, goes around in a circle, and then looks up and he's in the same place as he was. Whereas, to me, Gibbs White looks at the whole picture a little bit more, uses the ball a little bit wiser. And yeah, that's why I think Gibbs White doesn't get as much stick. I think possibly Gibbs White is a little bit younger than Enabakari as well. Enabakari still maybe has that little... There's a bit of an attitude problem off the pitch as well. I'm not quite sure. Brighton and Gibbs White are both attacking midfielders. If Brighton missed the chances Gibbs White had yesterday, he would have been slaughtered as usual. True. I think Gibbs White should have scored yesterday. There was a couple of really good chances that he had that he should have been putting away. The first half when he was through on goal and dragged it wide, and then the second half he made a really good run to come onto the ball around about the penalty spot. Drury knocked it back and he hit it straight at the goalkeeper. Quite a weak effort, but I think we will be more patient with Gibbs White. But I don't know the reason for it. I think Eni Bakari's this is his third season of involvement in the first team. This is only Gibbs White's second, really. I know he did play a few. He came on and did a little bit under Lambert at the end of that season, but not as much as Eni Bakari, who had played the whole of that season pretty much, a little bit beforehand as well. So hopefully Eni Bakari goes out and proves himself elsewhere. I think if he drops down to the Championship or to League One and goes and gets 10 goals this season or makes chances and, settles down as a person as well, so we could have a real good player on our hands there. But some of the younger players that played yesterday, Elliot Watt, I spoke about yesterday on my video, was amazing. I thought he was really, really good. Excuse me, Benny Ashley Seal came off the bench and again should have scored. Should have had a penalty as well. I think he was fouled in the build up to one of the moments there. Who else played? Pedro Gonçalves came on and looked really good. Seen him play before for the under-23s and in some of the pre-season friendlies this year. He looked a very good player. Similar to Neves and Moutinho, that sort of creative player. But I can't believe Vinagre is only 19. So Vinagre, for me, is the most exciting young player I think that we've ever had. I'm too young really to remember Robbie Keane. I do vaguely remember him playing a couple of times, but yeah. All right, let's have a look back through some of the comments there. Cometh the moment, cometh the hour, cometh Willy Bolly. How long do you think it would be until Dendoncker forces his way into the first team in the Premier League? Well, I think he was shocked a little bit by the pace and the physicality in the first couple of minutes. Literally the first moments of the game, he was knocked off the ball. But he he came into the game a little bit more and excuse me, looked comfortable in possession and used the ball well. So hopefully, I think if, as somebody just said there, Bennett's will have a drop in form, or we'll pick up a few yellow cards or a suspension or something, and we'll see Dendoncker coming into the team then. Vinagre going to Portugal. He's going to be the Portuguese version of Roberto Carlos. Excuse me. Is Johnny still injured? Came off against Man City. No, he was on the bench yesterday. I think it was just precaution that he was taken off yesterday. Troy has a surplus of... Right. Okay. Do you think Cody can cut it at the Premier League level as our centre-back? I think he's shown in the first two games that he had weaknesses. I think we knew that he had weaknesses as well from last season when against Villa in particular, and there was a couple of QPR at home and games like that where they had big strikers running at our defence. Cody looked frightened. We saw that a little bit against Leicester with Vardy and Maddison, and he couldn't deal with those two. And a little bit at Everton as well with Richarlison running at him as well. But there was a little bit... he was a little bit more comfortable on Saturday. I think probably because I don't know whether it's just a mental thing and that he's bigger than Aguero and he was bigger than Jesus. And and yeah, I think that's it really. Yeah, if we could just leave that debate as it is at the moment. I don't want to get into anything like that. Let's have a look. Thoughts on Old Trafford in a month? An easy win. Well, if Mourinho is still there, I think there's definitely a chance. Their defence as well looks shaky. Can you imagine Jota and Traore and Jimenez running at Phil Jones and Chris Smalling? I think we've definitely got something that could happen. Yeah. Do you guys think Wolves can stay strong with the same formation all season? I feel the left and right wing don't cut in enough to add extra bodies in the centre when in attacking transition. Well, this is something that happened yesterday. Traore and Costa, when he was on, or who started the game? Gibbs White, were coming inside a lot more. Personally, I would rather them stay wide and there to be more runners in the middle. That's my personal preference. If I was the manager, and we saw it for Bonatini's goal yesterday, Traore had got behind the fullback, pulled the ball back into the midfield, into the middle of the box, and and scored that way. And I think that's what we've lacked a little bit all through last season as well. I felt like we should have been making more chances like that. Hopefully we'll we will score more goals like that. How did Big John do in goal yesterday? He made one really good save from like an overhead kick, which he clawed out of the net. It was a really, really top class save. And it's funny to think now about how he's become this number 2 goalkeeper, having been the best goalkeeper in the Championship, according to whoever decides, the EFL or whatever it was that decided that he was the best goalkeeper in the league. To now be a number 2, it's an awkward situation for him. But he did a very good job yesterday. And I feel very comfortable with him as a number 2 for the rest of the season. I think he would probably... It's difficult. Would he... He's not going to play, is he? Unless there's a serious injury to Patricio. He's not going to play a league game at all. You wouldn't have thought. Unless perhaps at the end of the season, if we're safe and Nuno decides to mix it up a little bit, we'll have to see what happens. Mark Remington, I haven't read the comment section of the Express and Star, but perhaps if you want to send me a message on Twitter, we can talk about your comments in private, perhaps. Ruddy would never make the worldy save Patricio made, but he's number 2. Yeah, that save from Patricio the other day was unbelievable. If you watch it in slow motion again and again and again, it was he wasn't even in shot. It was so quick as well, though, how it happened in real time. Like I think it's probably the best save I've seen as a Wolves fan from a Wolves goalkeeper. Certainly, I know Hennessy made people like Hennessy for his shot stopping, but he wasn't that good goalkeeper. I didn't like him. Matt Murray as well. Not penalty saves and stuff like that are all very well, but shot stops like that don't come very often for Wolves players, and that was definitely a great moment the other day. Best atmosphere ever at the Molineux. I don't know if you can compare it to the atmosphere on Saturday. I don't know if you can compare it to games against the Albion in the past where we've won, and they've been, we've won those games and it's been like really, really loud there. But apparently it was the loudest ground in the Premier League on Saturday. I don't know when that was, whether it was after the goal or at full time, whatever. But yeah, certainly something to be proud of. When's the draw for the next round? I think somebody's already answered that. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Zonal marking on set pieces and corners is costing us goals and points so far. I'm not a fan of this. Well, we'll talk about Hennessy in a minute. Zonal marking is, I remember Danny Baker, if you ever listened to Danny Baker on 5 Live and possibly Radio London as well, for people who live in London. He says zonal marking only will ever work if the teams agree to zonally attack. And I tend to agree with that because we saw a perfect perfect example of it not working on Saturday. It was a free kick in a dangerous position, really dangerous looking position where they could whip a ball in. And Laporte had a 10-yard, 15-yard run on Willy Bolly. Willy Bolly from a standing jump is never going to beat a 6'2", 3, 4, whatever he is, coming in at a run, and it doesn't work. But with every team doing it, I can see sometimes the benefits of it, like the way that England attack corners, which isn't as original as everybody makes it out to be. Wales did it in the Euros. With a group of players on the penalty spot who just spread. Then, if you can't man mark like that because you can't, you're going to pull somebody down or whatever. So, I think it's something that needs to be looked at. But I think exactly, Oliver. If zonal marking is so bad, why do most managers use it nowadays? Exactly. Yeah. If you could all drop a like on the stream as well at the moment, see if we can get up to 20 likes in the next minute. That'd be good. Patricio needs to work on his distribution. At least his shot stopping is very good. John Robinson, nice top Tom. Yes, I do have the home version as well in a drawer down there. Thank you, Mark. Good boy. Bolly can beat them. He needs to be more alert. It's difficult because Bolly's he proved on Saturday that he's a Premier League defender. I think there was a little bit of doubt in the first couple of games of his lapses in concentration and his things like that. He wasn't playing as good as we saw him. But against Man City, there was a goal-saving tackle in the first half against Aguero. His goal, obviously. And then, but he's not going to be able to, if you imagine Willy Bolly's like that, Laporte is the same height, same size as him, but he's got a running jump on it. Bolly's only going to be able to get so far. Whether or not, I don't know whether he read the ball in well enough or what. I don't know. I think Yaya Toure is going to Olympiacos, from what I've heard. He's had a medical in London today, and people have been going, how has that happened? Why is he having a medical for Olympiacos in London? Well, Burnley are playing them tomorrow. So they're obviously got people over here. And that's why. So I don't think we won't be signing Yaya Toure. It's something that I spoke about at the beginning of the summer. He's a player that I did want and I do like a lot. Yeah, he wants to. Can you imagine Yaya Toure and Roderick Miranda playing together? Let's have a look. Bolly, my man of the match on Saturday from William Martin. Definitely. I thought it was the best game he's had in a Wolves shirt, I think, probably because he was tested the most. He had some great games in the Championship, but of course he wasn't tested like he was tested against those players. Yes, I am going to West Ham. I am. Looking forward to it a lot. Not looking forward to the logistics of getting there at the moment. It's going to be quite a complicated morning, I think, to get there, but should be good once we do get there. West Ham, Burnley, United, Southampton, Palace, Watford, Brighton, next fixtures, some maximum points. I think this is the, we've had a few games now. We've had a few games to get used to the Premier League and to get used to the pace of it and the ruthless nature of it and the fact that you've got to be clinical, otherwise you don't get results. We now have got a run of fixtures where if we could pick up 10, 15 points from the next 2 months up to the end of October, then we're going to be fine because we've got difficult games after that. Tottenham and Arsenal back to back, and Chelsea and Newcastle away, Tottenham away in November and December. So this is a point in the season where we need to take advantage of the fixtures that we've got and the home fixtures as well. Burnley, Southampton, and Watford, you could argue that if we've got any intention of finishing the top 10, we have to get 9 points from those. Despite Watford having a great start to the season, there should be nothing that stops us from getting 3 points in that game at home. Our home record under Nuno is amazing. If you think the last time we lost at home was back in January, I think it was 20th of January. What is it? 20th of January. That's an amazing record. And the thing of the teams that we played as well, now Man City and Everton, two really good teams. Even in the in the friendly, Villarreal, good team. We came back and we beat them. I think it's something that we really need to capitalise on. Our away form is not bad, but I think in the big games last season against Fulham and Villa, we struggled a little bit. So yeah, let's just have a look. How is Arsenal a tough game? Even Huddersfield can pass out from the back better than them. What position do you think Wolves need reinforcements? Do you think need reinforcements if Wolves play strong until Jan or make it to the Europa? Troops from Arsenal Fan TV said he's actually concerned about coming to Molineux, and he should be. Favourite ever Wolves player? Arsenal defensive quality. Okay. Right. Let's have a look. Favorite ever Wolves player. I would go back to 2001. I think he signed. And I really, really like Alex Ray. I think his goal against Reading. People are going to get blocked from this if they keep using foul language. Stop it. Yeah, Alex Ray, his goal against Reading, goal against Leicester in the comeback, his equaliser, taking his top off like that. And just his general play. I just really like Alex Ray. But I think Ruben Neves is, I think once he moves on or once he retires or whatever, I think we'll look back at him and say that he was the best player that we've ever seen at the Molineux. Right, boys and girls, let's see if we can get that like total up to 30 likes in the next 5 minutes, can we? What level do you think Matt Murray would have reached had he not suffered from injuries? Well, in that playoff final, the commentator was saying, there's no doubt that this is a Premier League goalkeeper in waiting. And I think he got a handful of England under-21 caps as well. So I think, think about who the England goalkeepers were at that time, early 2000s. It was David Seaman was coming towards the end of his England career. He didn't play after 2002, did he? So you had Paul Robinson, Nigel Martin a little bit, Rob Green and people like that. I think he would have been in England squads and he would have got a couple of England caps, but he wouldn't have let's have a look. Fancast or E&S Poddy? Well, I've listened to Fancast for a long, long time. Since we were in League One, I think, but even before that, I think, when I was in university. But they've been doing it for a long, long time. And the Express Style one, I've only just started listening to over the last couple of weeks, but both of them I like a lot. And but if I was going to pick one, I'd probably pick at the moment the E&S Poddy. Not that I don't like the Fancast, but I just think they get a little bit distracted by wrestling occasionally. I don't like that. Matt Murray was good, but his kicking let him down. I think his knees let him down a little bit more than his kicking. I just remember him being dominant from corners as well. Just as you just said there, Mark, just much bigger than other keepers and other players as well. Used to tower over our defenders and stuff. It was amazing. Do you remember your first game? Well, what my grandparents or my grandfather used to do is he used to take us to a reserve game for half a game, and then so it was an empty stadium. We'd just get used to being in the ground, and then we'd build it up like that. And I think my first game was against Portsmouth in about 98, just before. I think it was the game before the FA Cup semi-final in 98 against Arsenal. And all I can remember is Pompey, the man with the bell. That's it. That's all I can remember from the game. How many points will we pick up from our next 3 games? I think I'm feeling quite positive about West Ham. Burnley, I'm not sure if they're going to have a Europa League game beforehand. If they lose tomorrow, then they're out of the Europa League for definite. So that's they've lost every game. They've had a really difficult start, so they're going to be up for it. But I think we'll beat them at home. Man United away, that's 3 points. I think we'll get 9 points from the next 3 games. Yeah. Well, there's 2 comments there which actually answer one another. Somebody said, where's it gone? Most underappreciated Wolves player ever, and the comment above that, Michael Oakes. I think Michael Oakes is definitely the most underrated Wolves player of maybe not of all time, but certainly of that era. I think it was really disrespectful of Dave Jones to bring in Paul Jones in the January transfer window that season for sentimental reasons, because he'd signed him for Southampton and he managed to keep him up on season. I think it was a really odd signing, and so I'd say Michael Oakes as an underrated player. There's probably a few others as well who have argument there between Spencer and the stud George and William Martin about who the worst manager was. Glenn Hoddle or Dean Saunders. I think it's got to be Dean Saunders. You can't. Glenn Hoddle may have been boring, but he holds the record for the most unbeaten games as a Wolves manager. I can't remember what it is, something like 20 odd games. I know we drew 19 of them 1-1. But Dean Saunders took us to League One, where we hadn't been for 20 odd years. What do you think about the rumours of Neves to Man City? We've covered that. He's not going anywhere. Not going anywhere this season. Maybe in the summer or something, but I can't see him. Hoddle at least left on his own accord. Yet Dean Saunders wanted to stay and help tidy up the mess. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we'd have kept Dean Saunders in League One? I think it would have been. We may have gone down into the conference, I think, eventually. We've had the third fewest shots on target. Don't you think people like Neves and Moutinho should hit them from distance? Neves had a couple, not on target though. So, I don't know. I would like us to shoot more. It's not the way that we play though. We like to make that perfect opportunity, almost like an unmissable opportunity. I remember talking to Gully back Christmas time last year, and he said we'd been compared to Man City, and it was nothing like that. Man City shoot from all angles and make lots of chances, and we sort of build into that perfect position and then score. Hoddle, we've done that. How's Dean Saunders a pundit? I know he's awful. If you listen to his story as well about Brian Clough trying to sign him, apparently that story's utter rubbish, and it's just made up to get laughs. I think he's quite disrespectful of probably one of the best British managers ever. Zenga was just mad, wasn't he? He was never going to last as a Wolves manager. Mark Algar, there's written quite a lot. Let's try and read that out. Ruben Neves is the main man at Wolves. Where can we build a team around him as a star man? If he goes somewhere like Man City, he'll be a fringe player. He's the best staying off at Wolves. I think that's the advice that he's getting at the moment from Nuno and from Mendes and from his family. He knows how important he is to Wolves. He's quite a mature man for a 21-year-old. And he knows that playing alongside Moutinho as well, every game is going to do wonders for him. And yeah, I think I can see him staying for another couple of years, Neves. I think if we're not in the European competition in a couple of years, then obviously he will go. But I think at the moment, the way that we're building, if we have a decent finish this season, I think he'd be very, very tempted to stay. Allardyce was the perfect English manager, English and unbeaten. My grandfather actually taught Sam Allardyce, and he was very, very upset when he was sacked. Not because he was sacked, because of the actions that led to his sacking. He's in the Premier League in a starting team, Ruben Neves, of course. So why would he want to leave? Why would he want to go and be a fringe player elsewhere? Who won the Champions League? Not Real Madrid, for a change. It's going to be somebody else. I think it's going to be Man City. I think that's their main priority this season. I think that they might slip down a little bit in the league, but they would have learned an awful lot from the mistakes that they made last year against Liverpool. I think they'll do well. Okay. Well, I'm not talking about the Barry Douglas transfer again. I think that happened about... When did it happen? About 5-6 weeks ago now? Come on. Yes, we've got the loudest fans in the league. We have. And it was good as well on Saturday to see everybody staying to the end. You know, usually, and this was a massive debate all through last year, that the North Bank emptied after about 70 minutes. And but the whole ground was there and it was full until the final whistle. And that was a really, really great moment. I thought really, really, really pleased with everybody. And maybe people realise, actually, it's better to watch the whole game and see the result of the game rather than rushing out to my car and getting away from Wolverhampton early. Who cares? If you could have only one Wolves player and get rid of all the rest and build a squad around him, who would it be? Josh Downs. I think everybody would have the same answer, possibly. I think that's basically what's happening now anyway, is that the team's been built around Ruben Neves. And yeah, I'm very happy with that because he's a very, very good player. Who would win in a scrap, Bolly or Elakobi? Oof. Bolly's got the height, hasn't he? He's got the reach. If it was a boxing match, he's got the reach, hasn't he? So I'll go for Bolly. Elakobi would be a tough fight. The Independent did player ratings and gave Moutinho 5 out of 10 for the City game. Well, I think Alan Shearer, possibly somebody else as well, put Moutinho in their Premier League Team of the Week alongside Patricio. Got in there for Shearer's. Adama versus Elakobi, that would be a decent fight because that'd be the same sort of height, I think. But I think Traore's probably got about stone on Elakobi. Have you seen the transfer prices in the Express and Star? RE Wolves, Villa, and West Bum? No, I haven't, Mark. Please expand. Yeah, Adama is massive. His arms are huge. He's just massive. But he's he's incredibly agile as well for somebody who's so big. You don't expect to be able to twist and turn and so quickly like he does. I think it's similar to Eubanks Blake in a way. They're in serious trouble compared to us. What all three of them, Albion as well, because they haven't spent a lot of this transfer window. I don't think. Who do you want in the next round of the Cup? I want West Bromwich Albion at home, please. I think it's been 6.5 years since we played them for the last time, and that 5-1 has just been lingering for a long, long time. And I think we would, I would say we'd definitely win, but we are in the ascendancy, and it's the best time to play them. A division, although that be saying that the pressure will be on them, division above, and all the talk would be about how good Wolves are and can we beat them? But I think we would. I think there's no distractions for the players because they've got, they'd be focused on winning the game. They're not worried about the passions of the rivalry and the derby, etc. Which teams do you think will get relegated in the Premier League this season? From what I've seen so far, Cardiff can't score, Huddersfield can't defend, so those two will go down. And then from the rest, I think Burnley are really struggling. I tipped them last season to go down, and of course they finished 7th. So what do I know? So I think that last place is up for grabs. Really, Southampton won, didn't they? No, Southampton lost, didn't they, at the weekend? Southampton could be in trouble. United, they're struggling down the lower ends of the table, aren't they? Newcastle have been poor. There's quite a few. There are a lot of poor teams. A lot of poor teams in the division. Do you think a championship club would take Bright? I think so. I think he's good enough to play in the championship. Yeah. How high do you think Spurs will be? Well, I tipped Spurs to win the league before the season started. They've won the first 3 games, and everybody's going, "Oh, are Spurs real title challengers?" Yes, they are, because they're amazing. I think Spurs are really, really, because they didn't make any signings. Everybody was going, "Oh, they're terrible," but they've got the best players in the Premier League. I think they've got the best squad, personally. Do you buy the match programs? It's £3.50. It's gone up, has it, by 50 pence? I don't buy the programs anymore. I used to a long time ago. Going to talk about Kevin Doyle here on the in the chat. Kevin Doyle had one of the best work ethics I've ever seen in football. If he was tackled, he'd always get up on his feet in under a second. Yes, I did. He just didn't score enough for us, did he? He was very, very good at Reading, but not good enough elsewhere. Do you think we'll sign Raul on a permanent move? I hope we do. From what we've seen so far, I really like him. I think he's a really, really good player. Johnny as well. I think so far, I know it's very early on, but I don't think we're going to be able to sign Johnny because he's only just signed for Atletico Madrid, and I think the expectation is that he will go there and he'll play a lot. So best work ethic has to go to Jamie O'Hara or Roger Johnson, surely. Raul is 30 million plus. Yeah, that's the problem. But it's peanuts for a team who'll be in the Europa League next season, won't it? I do like talking about the programs there. I do like the covers this season. I think she's a very, very talented artist. What's her name? Cobbold. Somebody will tell me in the chat. Louise Cobbold, is that right? Cobbold. Could you see Dendoncker starting soon? I think so, but I think it's going to take now an injury or a suspension for him to get in the team because he. I wouldn't change the back 3 at the moment because Cody, the captain, and that linchpin in the middle of defence. And then you've got Bennett, who's been the best defender so far, and you've got Bolly, top class defender. You're not going to change any of those 3, I don't think, at the moment. So it's going to take a while. See if we can get that like up to 40. That's in the next 5 minutes. Everybody who's watching now, like the video. Let's get up to, what did you say? 40. Yeah, Neves and Jota are interested from Juventus. Why do you need Johnny? Why is he going on about Danny Bart still? Sylvan Dislander, who is pure class. Yes. If he isn't now, I don't know. Any news on Cav's injury? Not as far as I'm aware. I think that he He's out for a month or so at the moment because of a back injury. I think he's back in Compton now. I think he went to Portugal for a bit of a rest, and he came back. I offer, dear oh dear. Who do I think will be the top goal scorer? I think it's going to be Jimenez. I'm going to predict now he's going to get 15 goals. 15 goals. 15 goals. Drop Doherty and put Bennett at right back. What position do you think Nuno will strengthen in the next window? That's a good question. I think he's probably going to sign another midfielder. And I expect a wing back. We obviously Zinchenko was lined up to come in, but just didn't want to come. So I think we do need somebody to cover those positions, because we've only got one player at the moment who can fill in there. So it's full back and a centre mid, I think, just to add. I think we're looking for somebody like Ndai, a big enforcer. So yeah. Is he as 28? He's not. Thank you, William. Louise Cobbold. Lovely. A ball boy against Mendy. I wonder if it was the same one who pushed the Hull manager, Nigel Atkins, at the end of last season. It's the same one. Do you think another striker will come in too? We're going to need a permanent striker at some point in the next year. Whether that will be in January or not, I don't know. I don't know how Rafa Mir has been getting on. Is it Mallorca that he went to? Exactly. Who needs another striker when you've got Rafa Mir? So happy we didn't get Smalling since Lucas Moura ended his career. Did you all see? I'm hoping that you all thought the same as me. Where at the end of the Spurs game, when Lucas Moura was walking back to the tunnel, and all the United fans who'd come, all the United tourists had come, and were taking pictures of them with Lucas Moura, who just scored 2 goals against them. It was awful, awful. I hate it, and that's what if we were to build this new stadium to be a super club like that, that's what we would be. That's what would happen to us. Plastic, exactly. I'd hate it. I'd absolutely hate it. I'm a home season ticket holder, but not enough loyalty points for away matches. Any advice on how to get away tickets? Go back in time and go to all of last season's away games. I think it's going to be pretty much impossible, I think, for people to just suddenly start going to away games this season. It's a shame because, I mean, obviously people are interested and want to go, but there's not going to be the opportunity. I think cup games yesterday would have been a good opportunity, I suppose, to get some more loyalty points. Go to all the games that you can, all the extra games that you can, all the League Cup games and FA Cup games would be my advice. I don't know if they're giving points to the Checker Trade Trophy. Try and go to those games as well. I'm not sure. Hope Wolves don't move the ground. Oh, we talked about that. I doubt we'll sign anyone for the first team in January unless there's injuries. Nuno doesn't panic by it. No, but I do think that because they missed out on Zinchenko, they are trying to build and trying to find a wing back. So it wouldn't surprise me if we maybe on loan initially in January, but I think we'll sign a wing back in January. Let's take it in the West Ham end. I suppose that's your other option, is buying tickets in the away ends, or find some friends who've got lots of points but can't go to all the away games. Is the point system a big scam? I think I might end up making a video about this because it comes up every week now in this chat. But I think that the ticket, they need to have some sort of system where they prioritize people who have been to more games than others. And there is only one way of doing that. That's the points thing. But I do think that they should offer more points if you use the club's travel, if you buy things from the club, if you buy food at the ground, perhaps even. I don't know how they can manage that, but I do think that they should offer loyalty points for more things than just the matches at the moment. First come, first served, yeah, but then you might end up with 10. The first person buying a handful of tickets, and I don't know. It's not fair on people who live far away. The problem is that this is only a problem now because Wolves are doing well. I lived far away 2 years ago, and I was able to get tickets for the Cardiff away game, and I was able to get tickets for the Bristol away game and for the Liverpool away game because Wolves weren't doing well, but now they are doing well. Everybody wants to go to every single game, so it's difficult. It's difficult. I know, Richard. As I just explained there, I had the same predicament a few seasons ago. Did you travel on the coach to Cardiff? No, it wasn't that game. I was actually living in Bridgend at the time, so I just drove to the game. But I did go to that game where you had to be, you had to go on the coach, but I lived here at the time, so I lived in the Midlands, so it didn't cause that much of a problem. Bigger stadiums are needed. What about everybody? The one that's going to annoy everybody is the Bournemouth game. I don't know when that is. Bournemouth away. Anybody? February. Because there's only about 1,000 people, I think, who are. I think that's their maximum attendance, or whatever it's called. John Robinson, I live in Cumbria and went to Swansea Race. That is uber commitment. That's amazing. Do you think we'll sign any good youth players from the club we own? Oh, that Spanish club. I don't know if they've got anybody decent. I think it's probably a two-way system. If they've got anybody decent, we can get them. Why only 3,000 allocation at Old Trafford? I thought it was 10% capacity. No, that's not true. I think for FA Cup games it has to be 15% or 20% even, which is why we had to give the South Bank up to the Albion all those years ago. But no, it's not 10%. It's only a tiny little percentage, and that's why they can do that. It must be 5%, isn't it? If it's 3,000, yeah. Wolves AWE indeed. Wolves should sign Alex Telles, Danilo Pereira. I also go from Memphis Depay, Bas Dost and Draxler. Interesting points. Right, last couple of minutes of the stream, boys and girls. If we could try and get those likes up to about 40, that'd be great. And can you 6.345%? Let's get those likes up to 40, and let's see your predictions for the game against West Ham on Saturday at the Olympic Stadium or the London Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget to put your goal scorers in the prediction as well, please, boys and girls. Hoping the Spurs ground is not ready when we play them. I'd rather play at their new ground than at Wembley. I think I really want to see Wolves playing at Wembley, but I don't want to cheat and do it in a league game. But anyway, go right. Your predictions down below, and like the video as well. Let's get it up as high as we can. 2-0 Wolves. Goal scorer, please, Michael Bridge. 3-1 Wolves. Jota Jimenez with 2. 2-1 Wolves. Give me your goal scorers as well, boys and girls. Patricio and Ruddy. Interesting. 2-0 Wolves, Jimenez and Neves. 3-0 to Wolves, Neves, Costa and Cody. 3-0, Jimenez, Costa, Johnny. 3-0 Wolves. Lots of 3-0s going on. Very, very confident from the Wolves fans over here. Don't forget to like the video as well, please. 2 for El and 1 for Neves. The Hammers are horrid. Neves and Jota 2-1. 1-0 Jimenez. 3-0 Danny Bart hat-trick. Lovely banter again. 2-0 Jimenez and Moutinho. Better prediction. Thank you. 3-1 Wolves. Jota, Costa, Arnautovic, and then Bennett. Jimenez, Neves, and Adama. Do we think Adama's going to start on Saturday, or would you leave him off the bench? That's the last question as I'm about to head off now. If we could just get 2 more likes on the video, please. That would be very, very pleasing for me. Okay. 2-0 Wolves, Doherty and Costa. 2-1 Wolves, Neves, Costa. 2-1 Costa and Jimenez. Super sub Adama. 2-0 Jim N and Costa. Adama is a better impact sub. He played well yesterday, started the game. Up to 40 now. Lovely. Thank you very much. 4-0 Edwards Iwelumo hat-trick. To be in 2008 again. Costa just played 45 and Adama 45. 1-0 says Mark Remington. I don't think anybody's predicted anything less than a Wolves win. Have we seen anybody saying a draw? I don't think so. We're going to hammer the Hammers. Did anybody notice yesterday how Costa celebrated like that? What's that mean? Is he moving to West Ham? Come on. Anyway, lovely chatting again. Enjoyed it a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you just stumbled upon this stream, do this every Wednesday for an hour between 9 and 10. What I'll do next week is I'll open the chat for an hour beforehand so people can come in and chat to each other. But until Friday, with the preview for the West Ham game, I'll see you then. Cheerio. Bye-bye.